Every time we look, groceries are getting more expensive while the bag keeps getting smaller. Fuel prices, they're getting higher. At work, you get that email that says exciting changes are ahead, and you know something horrible is coming. We all know that this game that we're in is rigged. At what point do the elites decide that they've won? Like, really, what is their end game? From what I've gathered, the elites, they want everything that we have. I think about these luxurious bunkers that they've built. I used to think it was for wartime, and now I realize that it's because they've been feeding us cake and they're ready for us to notice it too. When I think about what I can do in my 50s living in the countryside, I stay tapped into what's happening. Sometimes it feels like I can't do very much. And then I remember that there's layers to all of this. Each of us has our part to play. And by the end of this video, you'll understand the framework that I'm using for how we can all push back against this. People right now, they're losing their jobs. At the same time, prices are just going up and up and up, and the news is absolutely unhinged. And with everything so out of control, of course, we are in survival mode. Keep your head down and stay quiet so we can just get through this. And the elites know this. They can take a chance on things working out or not working out because at the end of the day, they're not going to face homelessness or destitution if they fail. So, of course, putting economic pressure on the masses makes sense for them. They're putting that pressure on us to make us more agreeable. It stops us from thinking long term. How can we weigh all of our options when we think that we don't have any? And that's why people stay at their jobs for far too long. I stayed at Tesla for 2 years longer than I should have. It literally aged me 10 years working there. Who knows how long I would have stayed if I hadn't gotten laid off. I stayed at Tesla because Tesla doesn't pay a good salary. When I started, I got a chunk of stock. I had too much money tied up in that company for me to walk away. I'd sacrificed so much and I just wanted what was mine. The problem was that each annual review locked me in another 2 years. We fear losing the little bit that we have, and that's why we accept worse products for higher prices. That's why we watched as companies pulled people back into the office after the pandemic, which proved that remote work was possible and it was better for people's quality of life. People had more flexibility. They moved to more affordable places. Then the elites told us to get back in the office for productivity's sake, but we all know it was about control. And when people went back, it was because they had to survive. So, what happens when we push back against a system built on money, when we depend on that money? First, I want to thank Ground News for partnering with me on this video. Last year's news cycle kept my head spinning. And this year, it's absolutely breakneck. I use Ground News to get a quick visual breakdown of what's being reported and who's reporting it. I filter my news based on bias, reliability, and ownership. With Ground News, I can easily check multiple sources to compare how certain topics are covered from outlets across different political spectrums and from around the world. By comparing these headlines and paying attention to the bias of the media outlet, it helps me to see things more clearly. Feel free to subscribe to Ground News through the link in my video description to get 40% off of the Vantage subscription, and that's the one that I use to get unlimited access to every feature. Not everybody has the privilege of voting with their wallet. The system, it's set up in a way that resistance costs money. Try buying ethically or shopping small. And in some places, even just eating healthy, this all costs more. I haven't shopped on Amazon in almost a year. I almost broke that resolve because I've been looking for a bidet attachment that fits my toilet. Of all the places that I've looked, Amazon had it the cheapest. I still haven't found one that fits my budget, but I'm going to keep looking. Right now, the whole world is dealing with the rising cost of basically everything, all because some very rich people don't think they're rich enough. On top of that, layoffs are hitting multiple industries, and there isn't really a safety net strong enough to catch all the people who are being affected. What if you lost your job tomorrow? The cost of doing something is absolutely too high, so we stay compliant. They built the economy that way so that we know that. Companies don't even pretend to care anymore about the customers or their employees. Call customer service. No matter if you call or if you just chat online, it's a robot. Things you buy break faster. Shrinkflation is normal now. If you're in the US, what are your thoughts on businesses who raise their prices because of the tariffs? How does it feel knowing that just 18% of them are going to roll back their prices? How does it feel knowing that you likely won't get a refund on the tariff that you paid? Meanwhile, you have businesses like Costco, they pay fair wages and provide quality products and customer service. That should be the baseline, but somehow we're in a time that it's revolutionary. Coming from the States, most of us grew up with the American dream in mind. You work hard and you'll be okay. But we have to be honest with who was always meant to be left out. Look at who that promise was actually made to, and you'll see that it was always useful as a leash, but we looked at it like it was a ladder. We are living in a moment when more people are seeing this than ever before. During the pandemic, we got a glimpse of what could be possible. We saw that a different way of working and living actually existed. We saw that the old rules were just mechanisms of control for people at the top. Now we're dealing with the repercussions of that time, layoffs in mass, gutted social programs, prices are rising while wages are flat or even going down. But we can't unsee what happened. When you're broke or you fear being broke, you can't afford to push back on these companies, which makes them stronger. And the thing is, when they get stronger, you actually get broker. When economic crises come, people really get desperate. People tolerate more, they accept less. They want to keep their jobs, they want stability, they stop questioning things. I believe in economic rebellion, which is not a big dramatic moment. I've spent the last year and a half simply just changing how I spend and how I show up every day, and I'm not perfect at it. Far from it, actually. When I bought my NAS last year so that I could stop subscribing to cloud services, I bought it through Amazon. We did a lot of research on the best NAS for our situation, and that one was only available by purchasing it through Jeff's blog. Could I have found another NAS eventually? Maybe. Look, we have to resist, but we have to make sure that we don't hold ourselves to impossible standards because that's just another way for us not to take action. It took me a month to really get used to my new setup. And of course, I lost the convenience of having iCloud, but what I gained was so much more privacy and a locked in price. I have to be clear up front that the cost of it was very expensive, but the way that I look at it is that it pays for itself over 2.5 years. And that was the same concept that I made to easily sell solar when I was back at Tesla. I helped the client understand that they generally didn't have to come up with extra money to pay for the system. You take the money that would usually go to your electric bill, and then that money would instead go towards solar payments. And then after 10 years, your system would be paid off, and now you own your means of production. And with electric bills getting so high for so many people, I'm surprised that more people aren't looking into portable solar systems. These are systems that aren't permanent and they can go on your balcony or on your porch. Costco sells them. I get it. Economic resistance is absolutely expensive, and that's on purpose. It's designed that way so you don't shift things, but there are little things that you can do. You don't have to go all at once. They don't have to be perfect, but everything that each and every one of us does adds up. I do my best to take the little money that I have out of their system and invest it in my community. How could I not when these businesses see me as an inconvenience in the way of getting my money? And when it comes to my attention, I guard myself. I'm bereft to find anything interesting on socials right now. I spend minimal time on this app. Instead, I use Internet Archive and Project Gutenberg to find books to read. I spend time in my garden growing food and flowers. I use free apps to stream shows that are genuinely entertaining. Right now, Chinese dramas have me in a chokehold. None of what I just mentioned requires me to be rich. None of it requires anybody's permission. None of these things are small either. When I canceled my Amazon Prime, I told them why. When I canceled Disney Plus, Hulu, and Apple TV, I told them why. I can't tell Hollywood why I stopped watching the unimaginative things that they're producing. Instead, I refuse to settle for the slop, and I found entertainment where the stories are interesting and I can see the effort that was put in. These are the layers that I'm engaged in, but that might not work for you. I've linked the engagement pyramid in the video description. Tell me in the comments how you were engaging. You might not realize it that you actually are. People engage at different levels of depth, and each of the levels matter. We don't have to be at the top leading everybody to do something. Each layer is powerful. And since you're watching this video, I already know that you're on layer one. You're noticing. You're aware of wealth inequality. You are seeing things that maybe you used to ignore. The person engaged with the leading layer right now was once where you are. There are people tilting this earth off of its axis, and we have the power to push it back. If you're new here, hi, I'm Kina. I just want to thank everybody who's shared with me a super chat, a coffee, a like, a comment, a subscribe. I'm so happy to have you here in this little corner of the internet. If you'd like to see more, I'll see you in this video. Otherwise, I'll see you in another one. Take care. Bye.